welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Don't forget, this coming Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, it is Halloween Eve. And I'm going to be giving you a list of films for you to check out on Halloween itself. For the last couple of months, I've been giving you spooky streaming suggestions every week to keep your Halloween season going. But with the big day approaching, I'm going to give you the ones that you should be watching on Halloween itself. You don't want to miss that. And of course, throughout the week, I am still dropping countless reviews in the world of horror, whether it's movies, TV shows, games, books, whatever. You don't want to miss any of that. And the best way to stay on top of everything I'm dropping on my channel is to get subscribed to my link tree. And you do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed to my link tree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, to your favorite podcasting platforms, the audio only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for my written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for my short horror content, including movie news and movie premieres, to my Twitch page for my horror gaming, including The Thing Remastered and Phasmophobia, and to my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop, including a yearly subscription to the physical magazine. Take advantage of that, folks, as the more subscribers I get, the more content I can put out for all of you. So what are we talking about here tonight, folks? Again, the amount of new content that we've been getting the last couple months in anticipation of Halloween has been phenomenal, and we're not stopping with any of that here on the show either. We're looking at a new one that just hit Netflix this past weekend. Folks, tonight we are talking Don't Move. Let's not waste any time and just jump right on into things. If you haven't seen the trailer for Don't Move before, Don't Move focuses on Iris, a young mother who's grieving the recent loss of her son, and on the anniversary of his death has decided to take her own life. But it's at this point that she meets the charming Richard, who appeals to her senses to keep alive for the sake of her son's memory. Unfortunately for Iris, though, Richard is actually a serial killer who has injected her with a paralytic agent that will leave her unable to move, unable to do anything within 20 minutes. Can Iris find a way to safety before she loses all bodily functions and escape the clutches of this vicious serial killer? And that is Don't Move. Now, this is the Netflix exclusive, and it was very much being touted as being brought to you from Sam Raimi, our horror legend. But you have to understand, though, Sam Raimi is only on producing credits this time around. Don't Move was written by TJ Simfel and David White and directed by Adam Schindler and Brian Netto. And right off the jump here, I hate that kind of marketing. That is one thing in horror that I really wish that we could get rid of, saying brought to you from the producers or the studios that brought you this. Because in all reality, that doesn't mean anything at all these days. Coming from the same director or the same writers, that's a different story because we've seen the actual films that their creative input has churned out for us. But saying it's coming from the same studio or the same producer doesn't hold any weight with me at all, because I love Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi is an absolute legend, but that doesn't mean he had so much direct input into the script, into the direction, into the film itself, that he actually had a voice to craft everything that was going on. Yes, that's a producer's job, but, and no offense to Sam Raimi in the least bit, that does not mean this is a project that they were personally involved with more than maybe a handful of things. And unfortunately, a lot of that can be seen here in Don't Move. The premise itself is incredibly exciting. The idea that this woman has been injected with something and she has a short period of time before she's not going to be able to move at all. She clearly can't run, she can't scream, she can't fight off an attacker. So if there's a serial killer around, obviously he's going to get to have his way with her and do all these terrible, terrible things to her before he ultimately decides to kill her. And there's a fascinating premise in there, but the problem is that it can't really stick to that, because the movie would have to be incredibly short in order for that to happen. Because let's think about this from a realistic standpoint. If you're going to get injected with something that means you can't move, you can't do anything at all, then how can you possibly fight? Especially if the main character is the person that's getting injected with this. Iris, who is played by Kelsey Asbiel, who you might know from Yellowstone recently, she is our protagonist, and if she's fully paralyzed, yes, of course, and like we see in the film, there's a lot that she has to convey just through like her eyes and her blank, emotionless, expressionless face, and she does a great job with that. But the thing is that you can't really tell a movie for 90 minutes to where the character can't move for the grand majority of that timing. And it's kind of a little bit like, I hate to kind of pull it back, and there's other similarities, the reason why I'm going to bring it up, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of M. Night Shyamalan's Trap that came out just a few months ago, to where prior to the film coming out, I know I had the expectation that the movie was going to take entirely place at that concert. And spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, it does not entirely take place at the concert. The grand majority of it does, but a lot of the more juicy details of it don't happen until they're gone and the concert is over. And for better or worse, because I know a lot of you out there really did enjoy Trap, and I didn't hate Trap by any means there, but I did think that there was a more fascinating concept in staying in the concert venue and having all of this take place during the concert itself. And with Don't Move, the issue really is that if we're coming from the point of view of our protagonist, there's only so much you can do if they can't move. And the film does get clever with the way they get around that, and it's able to put Iris in different situations and saddle her up with different people to kind of help her along. But it takes away from the intriguing premise of it itself, because that did fascinate me. The idea that this person can't move and they're being hunted by a serial killer. The execution, unfortunately, is just not to the level that I would really like it to be. Unfortunately, the movie proves very quickly that it just can't hold with the idea of her not being able to do anything, and that we have to introduce other elements to keep that interesting. Richard himself, Finn Whitlock, who you might know quite frequently from the American Horror Story series, plays our charming serial killer Richard here. And while he does a good job in the role as well too, the issue is that Richard is given a lot of, I don't know, like plot armor. He's giving a lot of super intelligence that we see that in a lot of serial killer movies, but the issue is that it just gets taken further and further and further and further to where nobody has the ability to outsmart him at all. And I do understand in films about serial killers, that does have to be maybe a small piece of it, because if they've been getting away with it for so long, clearly they have a little bit more intelligence than the people that they're coming around or the people that they're hunting. But Richard really does have an answer for everything that's happening. He has a way of escaping every single situation. And not only that, the charming quality, the aspects that he has earlier on in the film, those go away almost immediately. Like the moment that we find out who he actually is, that charm is immediately vanquished. And from there on, it's like he's able to get away with so many things, and it starts begging the question, how have you been a serial killer for this long? Because the implication is that Richard has been doing this for a while with a number of different people. And it's like, how did you get away with this for so long when you make so many big mistakes and are making a grand show of things? Like Dexter Morgan would be disgusted. I had to search for a word. I would be absolutely disgusted looking at the way that Richard handles Iris in this story, and presumably maybe other victims in his past. And it very well could be a case to where the victims that Richard has had prior to dealing with Iris just didn't have as much fight in them. Maybe they didn't have the same, like the same smarts that Iris did to kind of get herself in a better situation. Who knows what it really is? But at the same time, some of the stuff that Richard does is like, there's no way for you to clean this up. There's no way for you to cover this up at all. Like, even if you did manage to somehow like kill Iris by the end of this film and get away with that murder, I don't think you're going to be able to explain all the other stuff that's going on. Now, I mentioned, in addition to the idea that it's kind of staged the same way that Trap is, Richard is also very similar to Josh Hartnett's character in Trap, where there's a bit of duality with his character, and we see that at the very beginning with his interaction with Iris, when she's coming to, celebrate's not the right word. She's coming to commiserate the memory of her past son, and he's able to just listen and really just provide support without really asking or forcing her to do anything. Like, he's basically just talking to her, hoping that what he says will ultimately kind of bring her back from the ledge, so to speak. And it's kind of intrusive in the way that, again, Iris starts this film with a plan in mind for herself and what she's going to end up doing, and she ultimately decides to step back due to Richard's interference in this. And it's so selfish. It's so selfish coming from Richard, because Iris can't just do it for herself. Like, she's not allowed to take her own life. Richard has to be the one to do that. Now, Richard very much plays it off as, wrong place at the right time for him. It's very, very much circumstantial for sure. But God, you can't just help feel like there's a line to be crossed considering where Iris's state of mind is. And of course, that provides the motivation for her, because the whole idea is, if you're planning on taking your own life, then what changes when somebody else is going to do it for you? Because that's always one incredibly scary step when you get into the conversation of attempting to take your own life, is pushing past that to actually do it. And the fact that Richard is almost like able to assist her in this, why does Iris want to keep on moving on if she was going to do it in the first place? So there's a lot of stuff to ponder here with that for sure. And that is one of the few shining lights of this film, is that the relationship between Iris and Richard, you know, when they do actually get a chance to open up to each other and talk a little bit more about their lives, that part itself is fascinating and had me very, very much intrigued with it. But again, the execution of Richard's plan and the way that he's able just to get away with everything that he's doing without any kind of care in the world, just unfortunately doesn't make it the home run that it really had the ability to be in the first place. It can be bloody and brutal in a few very specific scenes for sure. You know, we do get to see the callousness of Richard's ways and show that he's not going to allow himself to be caught, and he will take any step humanly possible to take out anybody standing in his way from getting to Iris and himself getting to safety as well too. And again, Fit Whitrock and Kelsey as Beale do great in their roles, but I just don't think the material itself serves them as well as it truthfully could. Either way, you can check it out for yourself because it is available right now for free on Netflix for you to check out. And let me know in the comment section for a chance to win an Abigail Funko Pop. What do you think you would be most scared of if you were injected with a paralytic drug that stopped you from being able to move at all for a certain period of time? Let me know in the comment section for a chance to win an Abigail Funko Pop. I'm going to be drawing that here on Wednesday's show. And hit that subscribe button as I got more great reviews coming y'all's way. Appreciate you tuning in again. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared. Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So, if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022 and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and a one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop.fangoria.com. Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to T Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever, it's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or TWASM. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.